Welcome back on Diamond. Today I want to propose you a video about the unboxing and review about the Vadaf issue 475 of April 2022. So here we have something quite interesting and related about what we say on the cover, that it's about the Kharadron Overlord. So here we can find that there is such image, but inside there is such alternative cover. Sincerely, which one do you prefer? Because I like a lot the alternative cover, but I like also the normal one. Here we have something that it's a little about what we find inside, and there is an insert about inside. So here we can find about the Kharadron Overlord. This is the image about Arcanaut Admiral. So we have this one that eventually you can cut off and so on, and you can find other options here that are related about the Aeronautical Imperialist that you can copy and so on to use and create your own ones. So it can be quite interesting eventually. So you can flip, we can find the contents inside that are quite a lot. Here we can find the mini list of the readers to the White Dwarf, and as usual I suggest you to watch these images, because you can find schema colors, basing or effects like these ones that can be quite interesting for your armies, or other options that can be really quite amusing and you can use in a lot of different ways. Think about such bases that can be interesting, schema colors that can be quite useful. For example, these about the null myriad for the ones that play Austrian Reapers, or think about such basing that it's amazing. Really, you can make something quite interesting from such type of basing and bring out. So really watch about this, because such type of things can be really quite inspirational to create your own pieces. You don't have to replicate, to duplicate such ones, but you can have inspiration by this, so it can be really quite interesting. Here we have an article by Callum Davis that it's about the burning the background about the Imperium and the part about Age of Sigmar, so it can be really quite interesting. And here we have the part about Age of Sigmar related about the Kharadron Overlords. So we have the realm skates that are also part of the Kharadron Overlords, so we can find a lot of interesting parts related that can be quite interesting. And these realmscapes can be a way to understand better the Age of Sigmar itself. And then we had the Tom Selection about the Kharadron Overlords with a lot of background, and for someone that don't like or better don't have the Kharadron Overlord, it's a way to know them better. If they have, it's a way to make them deeper understanding. So I think that it's really quite interesting, these ones, because there is a lot of infos related. Moreover, inside here there is the update about the Kharadron to the new edition Dominion, third edition of Age of Sigmar. So I think that can be really quite interesting. And you have the match play, the open play, and the Path to Glory part. So I think that there are quite a lot of things. And there is also the campaign about the Kharadron Overlords, so it can be a good way to understand them and play them. Sincerely, I'm still in the, I can say, pandemic mode, so I don't go out quite often to play, so I don't play this type of campaigns. But for later, when everything was solved, I think that it's quite interesting. And then we had here about the painting, where you can find a lot of info, because based on here you can learn, for example, how to paint the bird, how to paint other options that can be really quite interesting. And even if you don't apply to the Kharadron Overlord themselves or such schema color, can be a way to understand how to paint certain things. Here we have about the rules of engagement that talk about how you create a campaign. So for the ones that are going to create one, I think that it's quite interesting, because they make you understand how it can be done. And here we have the rules to play a campaign specific one, so I think that it can be quite interesting. Here we have new rules about Warcry. For the ones that play it, it can be a must-have, so because there are a lot of new rules that you can find here. Then I have glory points about Harrow Deep for the Underworld. I don't play Underworld, but I like the miniatures related about Underworld, so that in the description you can find those ones, because in the description you can find my boxes that I bought and my modifying about the underworld team, because I really love them. Here we can begin with the Warhammer 40k with an article by Duncan about how you can personalize and so on your armies, and in the case that you create something related about a game, how you can make that it's something like balanced, and it can be quite interesting. Here we have Flashpoint Nakmund that is developed with a lot of background, and it can be really quite interesting for the ones that play or want to know more about Warhammer 40k, because I think that it's really quite amusing to understand the balance and so on of the different armies in this campaign. Here we have the chapters that are involved in the campaign itself, and these Prismarines ones can be a way to understand better and maybe to have some ideas how to create a special chapter or so on that maybe you haven't known and you like the scheme of color. And then we have the part about the Ruse for the Crusade part, so it can be a good thing to understand a bit better this one. And after we've seen this, we have the new Ruse that we can play with, so really a lot of things that can be really quite interesting for the ones that play with this campaign, because it's really this for match play, and it's about the House Corvus and the Dispur of Belacos, so it's really quite a good thing to see. Obviously it's up to you to decide if it's worth to have in your armies. Here we have a novel about that can be a good way to see the Astra Militarum playing against Khorne or so on. Here we have something related about the Khorne, better the Chaos, but here we have the Warbearers and so on that are related. Here we have a Stargate, because this is a Stargate, really, it's that one. And here some skill of color how to paint and so on that can be quite interesting for the one that paint vehicles. And here about painting and modifying, for example, this basing for such model, it's amazing. I love such model, and it's really quite nice. So we can have inspiration about, because we can use them to paint. For example, these are Nighthaunt but are converted, so you can really have a lot of ideas to play with and gain a lot about. And here we have the tale of 4 warlords, so we have the battle report about them, so we can find how they play together and against each other, so that they finally have a match. And as always, I suggest you to see such a battle report, because if you are not interested about Warhammer 40k, it's a way to know about the way, or you can be inspired by the game, by the images, by the models and so on. So I think that it can be really quite nice, because it's really nice to read and to see about this, because it's something that it improves the way. Otherwise you can simply skip, but I always suggest you to read about, because it's a way to have some fun. And then we have this, that it's about an article of a Navy Metal article that see how you can do, so how you can you can create your models, modify and so on, and you can have some referral, because okay, you don't have to do such things, but it's a simple way to understand better. For example, this one, it's quite simple, because it's the normal model with this behind that make it more in the mood. Here we have a big model that it's a combination, and it's a lot converted, but at the same time the environment from the base to the positioning of everything, it's quite interesting. For example, this model, it's not changed too much, still with this repositioning of the giant and so on, it make it completely a new different models. So there are something that you can gain from this, even if you do everything else. It can be quite interesting. The detail about this X, it's quite simple, but at the same time quite amazing. And here instead we have about the Aeronautical Imperialist, so we have new rules related. I don't play about it, even if there are some models that I would like to buy. And here we have seen that these cards, we have the insert that can be used about, so eventually you have this one that you can cut and personalize, so that you can use in your own armies about Aeronautical Imperialist. Here we have Middle-earth that I don't play, but I like always to see at least the images, because it's a way to have an idea about how to create dioramas, how you can make photos in a scenic way. So it's really quite interesting, because I think that it's really nice to see. And then we have a Black Library novel. As usual, I suggest always to read about such one, because it's a way to know maybe a new army that you never played, or a new author that you like or you never seen. So the author that can write about a new army that you never known about, or an army but in different authors, so you can find a different way to approach to that army. So it can be really quite interesting in that way. And as usual, I suggest you really to give a try, because it's a way to create your own library about Age of Sigmar, Warcry, or Warhammer 40k, but it's really quite amazing. And here we have the inside the studio with what we see in the next numbers, so it can be quite interesting. And in the next one, there will be the Hedonists of Slaanesh update, so it can be really quite interesting, even if these armies will brought and they are simple strange, because this one are the Thousand Sons and this one are the Tertus Sororitas. Still, there will be quite a lot of interesting things. So what to say about such White Dwarf? I think that it's really quite interesting. If you are going to play the Kharadron Overlords, it's a must-have, because there is the update. If you are going to play for Warcry or for the Aeronautical Imperialist or so on, it's a must-have, because you have a lot of things inside here that can be quite interesting. But even if you discard them, you have a lot of background about Warhammer 40k and about everything else that it's quite amusing. A lot of interesting things about painting and modifying. So there are a lot of things that I suggest you to buy it. Still, it's up to you, because it's not that one that it's must have absolutely. But still, it's something that brings you a lot of content that can be quite interesting. So, from Dynomod, it's everything. I invite you to put a like on this video, to subscribe to the channel, to ring the bell, and to comment this video if you are interested in something about this video, or you want to suggest me some arguments for other videos. I hope to see you again to the next time.